Why'd you move that there?
Okay.
So I would like to start off today by having you participate in a group activity. If you could form a group with 2 to 3 people around you, and I would invite you to share your number of siblings that you have, if any, your favorite hobby, and your first job. And I'll give you a minute to do that.
Sisters, her job was
Marina, will be the last one? Your first job. First one. How many siblings do you have, if any? Your favorite hobby? Did everyone get to share? Yeah, awesome. And I hope you guys are able to continue those conversations after class. But what you just participated in is an activity that has been shown to increase team trust, known as the personal histories exercise. Normally it would be a 30-minute long, but we'll just do 1 minute tonight. And so the role of trust, it's been known, the core roots of trust for a functioning and cohesive team lie in trust. And in the absence of trust, it stems from the unwillingness to be vulnerable with the group. And with being unvulnerable, it makes barriers for team trust. And so with the 5 dysfunctions, in Patrick Lee and Sinoni's book that we'll be reading for Dr. Bishop's class, for Mr. Mike Bishop, sorry, it's the core foundation, it's vulnerability. Some exercises to increase stress besides the one that we just did of the personal histories exercise is a team effective exercise. And I would suggest trying this within your consulting groups right now. That involves choosing each member, deciding how each team member will contribute to the team, and specifically point out what they will contribute to the entire team. So just giving some more responsibility. The 360-degree feedback is what I hope to receive from you guys right after this presentation. And the role in that is to be able to receive constructive feedback, and it's like getting a tool that will help you move forward. And the experiential team exercise, that could be known as within the past 10 years, some experiential team exercise would be the tug of rope. That's a little bit more challenging to apply to the work world. And so more realistically for your working team might be something like a problem solving exercise, where you give your team a problem and you see the creative ways for a way for them to come up with a solution. And so make sure to follow up with your team after doing these exercises. It's good to check up on a daily work basis. And in an effort to increase trust with you all tonight. I'm gonna go ahead and be vulnerable as a leader would with their team to open vulnerability within their teams. And so 4 years ago, I received a phone call and I got notified that my dad was being rushed to the hospital and he was gonna receive brain surgery. And so it turned out during his brain surgery, he had a stroke and a few after that. And so during the course after a year of his surgery, he ended up in a rehabilitation home where I would take my brother and sister with me as much as I could, and it was very hard for us to see him unresponsive. And so before my dad got sick, he would take us out about every weekend to go do something with our family. And just to be with my brother and sister and all of us go out. And so a year after his surgery, he got called to his eternal home. And now, 4 years later, I do my best to take out my brother and sister every other weekend to be able to spend time with them. And my goal, what motivates me, is to be able to take them out. And so with that story, it's just a story of what motivates me. And I hope that you can apply that to your teams and open up that vulnerability. And so how is your team challenging those barriers? Thank you.
Who's next?
Congratulations. You're done.
Okay.
First.
Yeah, you're done. So I just want to say thank you so much for being vulnerable. And I just feel like there was a common theme in all your presentations where you were just willing to be so open with us and really share a part of yourself that, you didn't have to share with us, but just the fact that you did just means so much to me and everyone else here. And so just thank you so much for giving us a little part of you. And I thoroughly enjoyed all of your presentations. The content is always on point. The presentations were always very beautiful. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Great.
I would like to say thank you for listening to me and being open to hearing a story like that. And I would like to apologize for not being more prepared because I did do this last minute last night. But just thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
What do you think went well?
I think the intro went well, having you guys get involved. It was nice to see you guys being able to talk with one another. What I could have done better is some better follow-up and having a better plan to follow that.
Done 3 presentations. I don't think the issue is preparing. I don't think it's adjusting information. I don't think anything that is technical or tangible. I think at this point it's just your practicing presentations. Because you nail when you prepare, it's great, right? Great slides for that. Even with this, you improvise and you're trying something new. It was still good. The only thing you need to work on now, I shouldn't say you have work on, but the thing that I am seeing that you need to work on now is just being comfortable. It's just practicing over and over again. And not even by yourself, it's finding ways that you can do a public presentation in different environments. So if it's even if it's 3 people and it's your friends and you're saying, hey, I want to talk to you guys about a story, listen to me. Or if it's an opportunity at work where your boss says, I need someone to convey a type of information, something, then you got to volunteer. Because again, you have all of the logistics and the prep down, because you do a great job with all the technical stuff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great. Since you finished all the presentations, how do you see yourself from the beginning of this process until the end, which is today?
I think I put a lot more effort into my first one, just because I was more nervous for it. So more work before, and And then the second one, I was more comfortable. The third one, I'm not good at coming up with stuff on the spot. I've definitely learned that. And so I think it was a good journey. Just I know I need to practice and be confident when I'm saying.
That's really good.
I'd like to challenge what you said. He was the first one.
I was gonna say that.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Tyler?
Yeah, Tyler was the first one of all three.
Yeah, Tyler. Sorry.
Father, Son, Holy Spirit.
You didn't call it out. You should have called it out. You should have called it out.
Who's the tallest? Who's the tallest?
What?
Honestly, my money's on Ashley.
Oh my god.
I'm not gonna step on Ashley physically, but she would step on me emotionally.
Which one's Scar?
It's like, I would not, emotionally.
I really haven't done it.
What is that? It's like these morons.
Oh my god.
He's laughing because he's showing us how food makes differently.
I'm consistent, I'm still wrong either way.
So I mean, it's like dumb things on reality shows.
What happened?
Oh, I do not.
We should keep it time for
I like it.
Do we have one?
Yeah, I love how it was.
Claire's right there. Either works. Let's see. That's North. Let's see. I'll let, Jim.
South left. Public presentation.
We good? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are talking about teams. Or I should say this week we are going to talk about teams, or I'm going to talk about teams. So let me start off by saying that I'm going to take you guys into the world of FedEx. And because FedEx is a company that highly relies on teamwork, right? So FedEx has various operations as far as FedEx Express, FedEx Freight, and FedEx Ground. But today I'm mainly going to talk to you about FedEx Freight. But within FedEx, within the companies that FedEx has, FedEx Ground and FedEx Freight are pretty much the same. They're a ground operation. FedEx Express is a air operation. So whenever you guys order something online, excuse me, and you guys want it overnight or something like that, it usually goes airplane. All right, but today I'm going to usually just talk about the ground operations of what FedEx does. All right. So let's imagine this is make believe, but let's just say that this is Pancho, and he's the CEO of Pancho's Borrows Bring Back Tomorrow, right? And so he wants to order some inventory for his business. So he goes online and orders the stuff. Store calls FedEx, schedules a pickup, and says, "We have a pickup for you guys scheduled." And customer rep says, "Hey, thank you for calling. Your scheduled pickup is we should be there within closing time, 5, 6 o'clock in the evening to pick up the stuff. Destination, Riverside, California." Okay. So here it is. So here's a FedEx freight truck on its way to go pick up the merchandise for Pancho's Borrows Bring Back Tomorrow. So after the pickup, so this is a sequence within the FedEx network, FedEx Freight Network. So after the city driver picks up the merchandise, loads it into the truck, brings it back down to the service center. So here's one of the service centers. Usually it's a huge warehouse, bunch of docks, right? So what happens next is that warehouse guy, forklift driver, picks up, unloads the trailers, unloads the merchandise, empties out the trailer and goes into another trailer, puts it into another trailer. Because this is what's called a city trailer, then they take it out to what's, for road. So basically it's two separate trailers. And, you know, here's a picture of, so here's a FedEx driver now on its way. Alright, so so this is pretty much how it works. 'Cause a lot of people say, hey, well, because it's funny because a lot of the FedEx trucks license plate actually have, license plates from like different states, right? So a lot of customers or a lot of people out there say, hey, like, you came from all the way from Indiana, because a lot of the trucks have Indiana license plates. But I said, no, these trailers are just registered in that state. But these trailers do come from like different various states, right? So this is just an example, but let's say some of the merchandise was picked up in Texas. And it's going to Riverside, California, right? But, so what happens is that think about it as like a relay race. Who here has anybody ran track before? And you know, when you do the 4x100 or the 4x400, you pass the baton. So that's exactly how it is. So trailer leaves the terminal, wherever it was picked up, drives down, meets another driver from like, let's say they start off in Texas, meets a driver in New Mexico. They swap trailers. That guy now drives to, let's say, Nevada or Arizona, whatever, meets another driver, they swap trailers. Then that guy drives down into California, into the destination terminal. All right, so now the trailer arrives at the terminal where the merchandise is supposed to be. Dock worker unloads the trailer, loads it into a city truck for that city. Then finally, the guy delivers the stuff at Poncho's Bottles, bring back tomorrow warehouse, right? So that's how the network within FedEx works. I mean, it's a collaboration within customer service from the time of pickup, from customer service to dispatching, to the drivers, to the meet points, to finally getting it to its destination, and for the driver to deliver the product at the very end to the customer. And this is what FedEx is. Thank you.
What do you think went well?
Tone of voice, hopefully you guys can look at it. Maybe this time it wasn't so depressing. So it's just kind of like a little education of pretty much what I do. So let you guys into the world of FedEx.
What do you think could have been done better?
Definitely, maybe the PowerPoint was very simple, you know, just all it was pictures. I was trying to just search, pictures of showing the next step. So I figured because I'm so familiar with the topic and how it works, I figured just pretty much just explain what the pictures, the next step. Good.
The concept that shows was very good about the example of FedEx, but it would have been much better if you added, the characteristics of team, describing them, how the teams work, and describing them, how they apply it to FedEx. It would be much better there. But your presentation is nice, and you're not at all nervous on the stage.
They seem nervous. Maybe you should be. Yeah, I can feel the flags in the restaurant.
I think your next one you can
It's gonna be on property, and definitely,
it's gonna be on FedEx again.
no.
Is
I was telling Tim, we should do it like at the property.
oh no.
Shocker should be UPS.
So get some feedback, like live feedback. I know it's like you're busy, right? But get some live feedback on things like Arif says, because I think that was a great kind of analogy for teamwork. And you had a lot of places to land the plane on teamwork, bam, teamwork, bam, teamwork. And so like driving those pieces home would make it that next level. Cool.
Is there anyone at the red?
Yeah.
Ash Ketchum? Gotta catch them all?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Already caught up.
All the topics.
Logistics,
I know you use another account.
I don't know.
It's CEO, IOP, 2021, at Gmail.
I'm prepared in advance.
Zero. Password is lowercase
We ever bring it to work? Let's go slower. Just like it's
That's what we do. That was entirely
Oh, like Dawn's presentation.
Inspired by.
Some of you may well be like me in that all my life I've avoided teams. I was that kid who did all the work in the group projects, and I avoided team sports with a passion. Instead, I did things like gymnastics or ice skating and basically anything that that avoided jerseys. So, and even though I had siblings, they were both 12 and 16 years apart from me. So I was basically raised as an only child. So as you can tell, teams for me were kind of doomed from the start. When I got older, and after mom was done paying for all my extracurricular activities, I had to find something that couldn't be taken away from me. Something that if I failed, it was on me and me alone. And that something was art. I thought that this was the one way that I could nurture a talent without needing anyone's help. So as Picasso states here, without great solitude, no serious work can be possible. I thought that I could go at my own pace, define my own success, and if people didn't like it, oh well. So naturally, when it came time to choose my high school elective, I became an art student. This way, I didn't have to focus on people loafing their work into me, and frankly, I liked being in control. Although I was about to have this control shaken a bit before the end of high school. But before I get into that, I'm going to tell you how you can't escape teams in the workplace and how we can keep these teams effective. So why can't you escape teams in the workplace? For one, teams are gaining popularity. In 1992, one survey found that 80% of organizations with 100 or more employees were utilizing some sort of teams, whether that be permanent, temporary, self-managing, or cross-functional teams. Additionally, teams are becoming more integral to the structure of an organization. 40% of respondents stated that their organization was transitioning to a team-based structure. And lastly, teams are becoming more and more self-managed. So I have some bad news for you if you thought that you couldn't lead or you were going to avoid leading a team in the workplace. So of those organizations that reported using teams, on average, 32% claim to be in a self-managing team. So how are we going to keep these teams effective? Job design, team interdependence, team composition, and the context and process in which these teams work all factor into their effectiveness. So we as IO psychologists can nurture these factors to thus produce effective teams. So jumping back to high school, junior year came with a new opportunity to be part of a new tradition, a chalk art contest. My competitive nature outweighed my disliking for working with teams, so I recruited the best to help. We were unstoppable. We had our own roles, we had a plan, and we even kicked it up a notch by bringing our own specialty chalk. which I'm pretty sure the custodian hated us for because it didn't wash off for weeks. But what we weren't prepared for was when they told us that our masterpiece had to fit on a 2-foot by 2-foot square patch of concrete. As you see, our ambitions were kind of higher than that, as we imagined this gargantuan museum quality piece on the pavement. So, our immediate plan was immediately thrown out the window, and thus we had to improvise. So we did what artists do best, doodle. We had done the same thing many times in class before, taking a piece of paper, putting on our own drawings until the page would be filled. If you guys remember, we did the same exact exercise just shy of 10 weeks ago on our first day of class. So just like with our chalk drawing here, and then with our own classroom drawings, the piece would be made whole by the sum of its unique and individual parts. Just like the unique and individual attributes and ideas you all bring to your teams every day. So long story short, we ended up with second place, but more importantly, we got to skip class, and I will always remember that I couldn't have done it without them. So like Picasso states, Picasso may be right in some respect that great solitude can lead to great works. Ultimately, I have to disagree. Memorable work can be made with the camaraderie of others, just like what I learned then and what we're doing here now as a cohort. Thank you.
How were your nerves this time?
Better, but not as good as I'd like it to be.
What would you do to change that?
Honestly, I think I practiced as much as I could. It was just, I think I need to practice more in front of people instead of alone in front of my mirror. So that's the next step.
I think you give really informative presentations. I think it's really good. My one recommendation would be on your slides. They all look really good, but there was one that was all the information on one slide.
Yeah.
And I personally was trying to read it, and I didn't have time to. So I would maybe cut down on like the amount of words that you have,
That's on
and
the slide.
yeah, just like have it as like bullet points to like help us visualize it, have
Right.
something to look at, but then like something that we can look at quick and then pay attention to what you say while you explain the
Yeah.
information.
Because you really knew everything that was on that slide entirely.
I know.
You
it's
just
just
give it like the
nerves.
number.
Yeah, we didn't need
so
all the
I
words.
could look at it.
Yeah.
You didn't seem nervous. Like, however nervous you were, you didn't come off that way.
I appreciate that.
The note cards made me know that you were nervous
Yeah,
because it was like
shuffling it.
shuffling them. But in all honesty, like it was really good presentation.
If you had more time to like recite, do you think you would be able to go without the note card?
Honestly, I was doing it without the note cards, just in my room. But honestly, getting up here, the nerves get to you. So then it's like, you know, just like what Brian was saying, it's like I want to get to the point faster, so it'll be over sooner type of thing. So that's where, you know,
The
it just up to me.
The beginning was very good. Like I felt like it was like a TED Talk.
Oh, thank
And
you.
without your note card, like it would be really like
Right.
engaging. And then I could see you being able to do that without the.
Thank you.
If you wanted to go like crazy preparation, you could walk up to like people in a coffee shop, like, hey, can I get like 5 minutes of your time?
There you go.
And then talk about teamwork and like just like
Yeah.
I don't know, like that's like how can you immerse yourself into it? And that's like, you know, like people might think you're crazy, but that's gonna get your nerves down way quick.
Yeah, I don't know how that's gonna be reaching people, but you know, thank you.
No cards for the next presentation.
I'm gonna try.
No try. No
No try.
cards.
There's
If you
no-
bring no cards,
See, I'm
Dawn and I will
good
take
at
them. There is no try.
You
You will take them.
You weren't really using them.
Yeah, you didn't use
Like,
them.
you didn't, it's just like a
I think
comfort
they're
thing.
nervous.
It like
It's a comfort
hinders
thing,
you.
you don't need them.
When I
You're
never,
like going on pace, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this one, no
Is your
problem.
third and last one?
Thank you.
Is your third and last one, so no cards on that one.
We'll bring a lighter.
how it was
We're being
explained to
lighter.
me one time is that like having something in front of you while you're giving a presentation is like having a
Yeah.
wall or like barrier between you and your audience. So
Yeah.
like kind of like taking that away kind of exposes yourself and helps you connect with them more. So I would recommend if you could practice without the note cards. I think it would help.
Honestly, it's not, yeah, like what you're saying, it's just the nerves thing. It's not needing them for the memorization part. but-
Great. So first off, I just want to apologize that I kind of slowed down. You were start up for a second. Okay, but I really like your attitude. Like it's more than the content of the presentation. It's your attitude. It's your like IDGAF attitude. I really.
I don't know what
I
I agree with
don't
that.
know.
What does that mean?
I really like.
What's that acronym stand for? It's a candidate.
No, but guys, no. I think it's what artists should have. Yes, and you have that in you. You are a true artist.
Thank you.
Yes.
You made me cry.
That's here. Yeah.
Hard to say next time, bro.
Yeah, bro.
We're all adults.
He's not, the professor's not here. He's on mute.
Just because it's Christian cool don't mean.
He's actually watching. He's actually watching.
Yeah,
I don't know, I'm just being easy here.
what about Mac? What about iOS? Come on.
What about Linux?
Actually,
Next.
Huh? The bribery? No.
Yeah.
Okay, we're almost home, guys.
Next, yeah.
One more. Okay. Okay, all right. Settle down, kids. Settle down. Okay, we're good? Okay.
Is this part of it?
No, really, you're so good. Okay, I'm ready to start. Thank you, Tim. This is just the nerves, so, okay. Hello. How do you make a team successful in the business world?
I don't know.
Well, thank you. There are a few requirements, and luckily, I was able to find these requirements. And these involve problem solving, being creative, thinking outside the box, but most importantly, being able to develop and plan as a team. So we were all able to see tonight all the different forms and methods on why teamwork is important and effective. But I thought it would be fun to do something today that would be kind of ambitious. But I think that we can definitely make it happen if we work together as a team. And so what we will be doing today is an activity created by a product designer called Peter Stillman. So this activity was created to really help us enhance our problem solving and collaboration skills, which we will be using in our day-to-day lives as IO psychologists. So this activity is called the marshmallow experiment. As you can see, there's marshmallows around your area. So if you've been in IO classes, most likely you have done this experiment, but we're gonna be doing it a little bit different today, which I hope you guys will enjoy, and it'll be so much fun. At least I've had fun when I've done it. So this experiment, the marshmallow experiment, involves being in teams. So we're all gonna get in teams in a little bit. And it involves creating the largest self-standing structure with the materials provided. And so you have to make the tallest, but also to add a little bit more, you have to put the marshmallow on top. Hence, marshmallow experiment. So before we get started though, thousands of groups have done this experiment. But the craziest part when I was reading into these studies is the fact that there's this one study that specifically viewed 2 different age groups. It's been done thousands of times, over thousands of age groups. But the study found that when comparing kindergartners to graduate students, the group that did the best was actually the kindergartners. So although the odds may be stacked against us, I believe that if we work together as a team, well, small teams, so then we can compete, we will effectively do this. And one of the reasons that it's actually a little bit ambitious is just this activity takes 45 minutes. But because we're low on time, we also want to go home. We're going to do it in 3 minutes. So I've already arranged groups for you. So the groups are, you guys are all a team. You guys are all a team over here, a team down there, and a team over there. And so you'll have 3 minutes to create the tallest self-standing structure with the marshmallow on top. And so, but it doesn't end there. The winner will receive candy chocolate Oreo bars. I've never even heard of these, but you'll get them.
Those are bomb.
Okay, good. So, sorry? What about the what? Okay, the losers get nothing. So, your time, hold on. Okay, are you good? Okay, get into the team. Okay, your time starts now. 3 minutes on the clock.
So it's like, yeah, like a team.
It's
Remember, be as creative as possible. Don't be afraid to collaborate. Don't be afraid to be vulnerable. Be yourself. This is a chance for you to experience true teamwork. Oh, there's teams. Okay. Freestanding structure.
Oh, yes.
Are you cool again? Are you You know what? 1 minute on the board. Okay. Yeah, because we're ambitious here. We're trying new things. This isn't the same experiment. This is a new one.
Oh, yeah.
Work together, guys. Don't be afraid. Work together. Go team. I-O. What's our chance? I-O, go. I-O, go. I-O, go. 1 minute, 45 seconds.
Hey, all we have to do is step it up.
Remember, freestanding. The tallest. Freestanding. Oh, he is an architect. Guys, you got an architect over there. You got this.
He's not an engineer.
You got this.
I have an 8-7 beach. I have an 8-7 beach. This is the most beautiful. It's like an octopus.
Okay, you have 30 seconds left.
There, we got it. We won.
No, you did.
Outstanding.
You've done well. You'll get a raise.
20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're done. Hands up. Hands up.
That went down.
It was witchcraft.
You're disqualified.
These dudes are wet.
Disqualified.
No, forgive us.
Let's take
I'm a professional. I'm a professional. Okay, so we have 2 teams remaining, this one and that one. Okay, which one is the tallest?
This one's
There's this one at the top. There's noodles above it.
Yeah,
No, with the marshmallow has to be on top. Wait, can you guys help me decide as a team?
Oh, that's a good
I
one.
would say the noodle as a, okay, we're about, what, a noodle high? I like your measurements. Damn. Yeah, it's definitely lower.
You're a different.
Wait, which way? Okay,
I
if
say
you guys say this one, say like scream. Okay, if you say this team. This team. Here you go. Congrats. Good job, guys. Okay, so
everybody who lost, throw your marshmallow.
come back to me. Okay. thank you guys so much for participating in this experiment. Thank you for participating. We're almost done, I promise. So one of the studies from the kindergarten versus the graduate students actually found that graduate students did 10 inches less than the kindergartners. Now, why was that? That was simply because of the graduate students being adults. Their egos got intact. Everyone wanted to be a part. Everyone wanted to be leaders, wanted to have their say. Whereas the kindergartners just wanted to finish the task. They didn't care about the ego stuff. They didn't care about leadership. They just wanted to get the task done. So they focused on getting them, making sure the marshmallow was intact and then going up from there. And so that was just something super fascinating. So yay, we did it. And with that, I hope you guys were able to see a little smidgen of an idea of how this could work together as a team. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed it.
Whoa.
I think your guys' participation was really amazing. I didn't feel as nervous as I was the first time. And I was also trying to get out of my comfort zone with like having a PowerPoint. So I was a little bit like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? So I really like that I got out of my comfort zone and tried something new. Yeah, I think the time, but you know, there's a lot of practice there. So yeah.
What are you gonna do differently next time?
I'm gonna try something different.
Yeah.
Like I think this whole idea of like trying new things like gave me a rush. So I'm gonna try like do something else.
Like a high now.
Yeah.
High up.
Yeah. Alright. Come at me.
I love seeing your confidence and being able to take charge and tell us like instruct us what to do with good instructions, and then also being able to take control and put that back in.
Yeah, you do authority and good command of just like the entire presentation. Not to your fault, it was more like the class's fault. It did get a little chaotic with the exercise, but again, you rolled it back, you had a great point, and it was like you said, it was fun to mix it up and like, oh, we can talk about leadership, we can hear leadership experience or team experience, but we did teams.
I would just like to add that I like how you could brush off the Lucas comment in the beginning. I see you as like a great HR presenter, more of a consultant, because I see you like leading the masses, and somebody could throw like a dumb little bird like but, and then you'd be like, yeah, cool, but let's get to the point. And I really enjoyed that you could do that.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, the chaos stuff, I've had team leadership trainings that are like that, where like, especially if you are training in-house and they know you. My manager we did this exercise, he threw a marshmallow at his boss's boss.
Oh, just like you.
Yeah, so.
Marshmallow
doesn't get thrown far from the tree. But he was great.
That was great aiming though.
Yeah.
And I swear, I would have seen you.
Look at it.
Just kidding. I don't have to worry. I'm good.
We all are.
Right now, but just wait. Just wait for the 6 figures.
Wait. Fuller. We're done.
Marshmallow.
Oh, you guys know.